Good morning, students. Welcome back to my channel, Molecular Mysteries. So, in the last class, we have covered the female reproductive system, part one, where I have completed the external genitalia of females. Okay. So, now in this class, let's talk about what are the internal parts of female reproductive system. So, we have seen the location of vagina, right? So, now let's get into the deeper area: uterus, fallopian tube, and the ovaries. So, this is a brief note of the structures present in the female reproductive system. But in the coming class, I will also discuss about the menstrual cycle and the hormonal regulation, how the hormones really do play an important role in female reproductive system during ovulation, during menstrual cycle, during pregnancy, and during menopause. So that class is going to be very important and interesting. So, okay, now let's get into the class. This class is all about the internal parts of female reproductive system. So, in the last class, we have covered how the position of vagina is being situated between the rectum in the posterior part and with the anterior part covered with the urinary tract and urethra. Right. So, now let's get into the deeper area. Next to vagina, you have your opening of your uterus called the cervix. Okay, this particular cervix is opened during the childbirth. Okay, and okay, anyway, I will be covering the shedding of endometrium in ovulation, in menstrual class itself. So let's not get into that now. As of now, let's get into the only the physical structures present in the female reproductive system. So they I told you here, you have a body of uterus, and you have a pair of ovaries, and you have fallopian tubes in the female internal parts. Okay, so in this class, let's talk about how it looks like. So the position of uterus, so this is the vagina, right? This is the vagina, and this is called your cervix. It is called the opening of your uterus. Okay, this is always closed and opens only during the childbirth, and generally during the shedding of your endometrium during the menstrual cycle, the uterus would, squeeze the whole muscles of the uterus get squeezed in such a way that the shedding of your endometrium happens, and that is how the cycle of menstrual cycle happens in females. Okay, so that we'll discuss in the later class. Okay, so this is called the opening of your vagina, I'm sorry, opening of your uterus called the cervix. And when you enter into it, you have your uterus, right? This is a pear shaped structure, and generally in the non pregnant woman, you can say that the uterus can be measured somewhere around 6 to 7 centimeters. Okay, and it is generally a pear shaped one. Okay, and let's see what are the layers that are covering your uterus. It is mainly covered by three important layers called the perimetrium, myometrium, and endometrium. So this, if you see the observe the class like this is called the body of your uterus, and this is place where the ovaries are, are raised, right? This is a fallopian tube to which the ova is being secreted, right? So this is called the body of uterus, and this body of uterus is mainly covered by the three important layers called perimetrium, myometrium, and endometrium. Outer layer perimetrium, middle layer myometrium, and the inner layer called endometrium. This particular endometrium gets shedded every month in women's cycle. Okay, okay, now this is how the body of uterus looks like. So now let's see what are the weight is the weight of uterus. These are general common questions that can be asked. So for a non-pregnant ladies, the uterus measures around 70 grams, but for a pregnant uterus, as it is carrying a baby, it may go till 1000 grams. Okay, so that is how it looks like, the weight of the uterus. I'm talking only about the weight of uterus. So now let's see what are the parts of your internal reproductive system in females. So I told you, when I enter into the uterus, you have your body of uterus covered with three important layers, and right, and you have your fallopian tubes coming out of your body of uterus, and they are called the fallopian tubes, and you have the ovaries, right? So the place where the fallopian tubes and the ovaries that are attached to the body of uterus are called cornua. Okay, and this is the ovary, and you have a pair of ovaries on left side and the right side. So in the next class, I will talk about what happens and how the egg is released, and how the maturation happens, and how the hormones play a role in all these things. Okay, so please remember, this is the area where they are attached to the body of the uterus. See, you have two important areas where, like, the ovaries are attached to the body of uterus in the area called ovarian ligament. The fallopian tubes are attached to the body of uterus, and that area is called cornua. Okay, cornua and ovarian ligament are the areas to which the fallopian tubes and the ovaries are coming out from the body of your uterus. Okay, this is how it looks like for your understanding. Now, let's see. Sorry. Now, let's see further parts that are present here. See, infundibulum is the opening of your fallopian tube. Okay, it is the opening of your fallopian tube. And you know what? See, isthmus and ampulla. So, ampulla is the region. Generally, what happens during pregnancy, or when we said that the egg is fertilized. Okay, when the egg is fertilized, it has to get fertilized and finally get attached to the wall of your uterus. That is how it looks like when the ovary gets matured and enters into your fallopian tube. The sperms that are coming from the vagina should enter there, and the whole thing should happen in the fallopian tube. But sometimes what happens, once the fertilization happens, it has to go and sit in the wall of your uterus, but that doesn't happen. Those pregnancies are called egg pregnancies. Those ectopic pregnancies where the fertilization and the formation of zygote and everything, even the zygote embryo gets attached to the fallopian tube, not in the uterus, then that is where it is called ampulla is the region where the ectopic pregnancies generally take place. So please remember that. Okay, and isthmus is the region where the fertilization happens. Okay, it is the region where the fertilization happens. Then ampulla is the actually the thing. If it happens like ectopic pregnancy, generally it takes place near the ampulla region of your fallopian tube. Okay, so infundibulum, I told you, they are the openings of your fallopian tube. Okay, so hope I'm clear with the concept. So I will also attach the important details of fallopian tubes and also the information regarding this in the description. Please go through it. Okay, hope you are all following my channel and answering my questions. So this is going to be interesting. I thought I can show you. See, this is how it looks like. This is the fallopian tube, and you have your ovary coming. Okay, right. See, this ovary has a fixed number of eggs for each and every girl when she's born. By the time she enters into puberty, she has got number of eggs fixed in her ovary. Okay, and every month they get released as your menstrual cycle proceeds, right? So the egg variety and the egg quality of egg, and also the age of egg, everything depends upon, as the age grows on, the type and quality of the egg goes down. This is a normal thing, right? So there are number of though many eggs are present in the ovaries, only one has to get matured every month. If too many follicles are produced, that may lead to a condition called PCOS. So in the coming classes, I will also describe about what is actually PCOS and why there are many cysts formed. Actually, out of those, the best dominant follicle has to be, you know, it is one only should get matured, but other things, other graphene follicle should never get matured. Okay, and see, when you talk about the ovary, I'm talking about the size also ovary here. The length, the width, and height of the ovaries generally range between 3 into 2 into 1 centimeters. It's a general information that I'm giving you. And the epithelium, the cells that are lining your ovary are called germinal epithelium. Okay, so these are the simple questions that they may ask you in the NEET and all. So just remember. Okay, so in the coming class, I'll talk about the menstrual cycle, and I'm dividing the menstrual cycle into two important parts. So for any queries, please post me the questions in the comment box. Please let me know how the channel is going. So thank you and have a nice day.